Welcome to the Auto Intel Summit 2021. This is Andrea Amico. I'm the founder and CEO of Privacy for Cars. And today I'm here to talk to you about the data that is left in cars by consumers. It's an issue that happens all the time. And I'm here to tell you that not only this is a potential mortal risk for dealerships, but it also can be the source of incredible value. So get ready to kick privacy into high gear, see how you can turn this from a regulatory headache into a potential to generate consumer satisfaction, additional sales, and additional profits for your dealerships. And hopefully you will enjoy what you hear today, and feel free to contact us at Privacy for Cars if you want to know more. So this is, well, let's call him Mike. Mike is a 50-year-old doctor. He lives in an affluent neighborhood outside of Chicago. And how do we know that? Well, we know that because we have seen his home address. We have had access to the garage door codes of his three-car garage. His text messages contained not only details of financial transactions, but also of medical information. Is of course protected by HIPAA. He himself sees a nutritionist and an eye surgeon. We know what his favorite Starbucks is, as well as his wife, let's call her Nancy. We know about her affluent circle of friends. We know that she has an eclectic taste in fashion. And she actually even goes to the home of a nearby designer to purchase clothes. And that she's currently remodeling the house, the deck, to be more precise. Their son, let's call him Junior, is a high school senior and is a competitive swimmer. How do we know that? Well, because we know at which high schools he competed at. We also know when he was taking his driving lessons, his ACT tutoring, and the two colleges that he went visiting, including the alma mater of his father. Now, how do we know all of this? We know this because we shot a 30-second video during a test drive. Let me be clear. Mike leased the vehicle in 2018. He returned it to the grounding dealer, the franchise grounding dealer. That dealer did not delete the personal information from the infotainment system, nor the garage door codes. When the vehicle went to the auction, because it landed back on the books of the finance company did not ask the auction to delete the personal information at the auction. And when an independent luxury vehicle dealer bought it, also they didn't delete the data. Now, you may feel that, isn't this Mike's fault? Didn't he leave his personal information? Shouldn't he have known? And those may be legitimate questions from a personal standpoint. But actually, there's only two questions that matter. Question number one is, who carries the liability? Who has the regulatory risk, the legal risk, and the reputation risk if it were to be known that Mike and the tens of millions of Mikes information is left behind and is not deleted by the dealership? The other question that matters is, well, is there any way to create value for Mike and for whoever purchases the vehicle next, so that not only you get to reduce your risk, but actually you get to make your business a better business? This is what we're going to be exploring today. So a little bit about myself. I spent the last 7 years honing my expertise on privacy and cybersecurity for vehicles. Worked in automotive for over a decade, and today I am the CEO of Privacy for Cars. We are the first company dedicated to creating privacy solutions around personal information captured by vehicles, and we have become the de facto standard in the wholesale segment. All the main auto auction chains and the leading independents use our platform, our technology platform, to reliably and efficiently remove the personal information from vehicles, do that in a way that is auditable, measurable. We issue certificates and we back them with a financial warranty. And all of these helps them to both meet regulatory requirements and improve customer satisfaction. And actually, we're super happy that We've been selected this year as part of the Emerging Eight. It's a small group of FinTech companies that through their efforts are making significant change in the automotive financial economy. So we know doing audits adoptions that over 4 out of 5 cars last year were resold with the personal information of the people who owned the vehicle before. But we also wanted to know what was happening at dealerships. And so what we did was to hire mystery shoppers, and we sent them at the end of last year at 72 different, very large, very reputable dealerships in California, Massachusetts. These are the top of the franchise dealers in those markets. And what did we find out? Well, we asked those mystery shoppers to go and pick 2 vehicles of their choice and to test drive them. And during the test drive, see if they could find the personal information of the people who owned the vehicle before. And they did at 88% of those dealerships. Now, going back to should and might have known. Well, when we sent the mystery shoppers to the dealerships after they found the personal information, we actually asked them to ask the dealer personnel, what did they know about the personal information captured by vehicles? And these are some of the answers that we got. Well, once you unplug the phone, the information will be gone from the car and only stored in the phone. That's not true. That's not how it works. Once you sync your phone into the car, you're creating a mini clone. It's going to stay in there forever unless you follow very specific sequences and procedures. And so those answers are not correct. In fact, less than 1 in 5 salespeople correctly explain that vehicles actually do collect personal information. But we also asked them, can this data be shared? The statements we heard from the franchise dealers were, oh, no, this OEM is not a high-tech company. They're not going to save and store this information to sell. Your information is a USB drive right here in the glove compartment. You only are the person to have access to the content. Obviously, that's not true. The OEMs will not sell customers' information due to national standards and law. Also, that's not true. That's strictly forbidden by the law. Not true. Turns out that actually 3/4 of the salespeople are vehemently saying that, of course, the OEM, maybe with some exceptions around emergency services, like in the case of an accident, for a warranty, for recalls, but excluding those narrow cases, they will never, never, never collect and sell and share your data. So also in this case, the information the consumer got was not accurate. In fact, only 2 dealerships out of 72 actually correctly said that both, yes, the vehicle collects personal information, and yes, the OEM has the right to sell or share the data. This leaves us here that vehicles captures lots of personal information, increasingly so. It is true for vehicles that are 10-year-old that barely have just the Bluetooth module. You'll find your contacts, your call logs, your text messages, identifiers, all sorts of stuff and metadata that makes it easy to re-identify people. If you have navigation, again, you have the home addresses, all your whereabouts. And with modern vehicles, there's a lot more in there. And unless you take action, that data is going to be staying there forever. At the same time, these layers of personal information pose a very significant legal and reputation risk. The FTC gave guidance already 3 times. I'm sure you know that they've expressed recently their feelings about how they feel about dealerships and auto finance companies and how they often like to name principals into the suits that they bring out. All 50 states have unfair and deceptive acts and practices regulations. In addition, there's a number of laws. There's some privacy laws from the most famous, like California Consumer Privacy Act, which includes private right of action and fines up to $7,500 per case, which means per VIN. But also older laws, like most of the 50 states have data security, data breach, and minimum standards on preservation of records. And all of those, again, comes with fines, come with liability. Many of them come with private right of action. And so no matter in which of the 50 states you are, you may have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different layers of state liability, not to mention, of course, your potential liability at the federal level. Just think about Graham Leach Liability 2 or the privacy rule. So we try to make it easy for you to actually know what those risks and liabilities are. So if you go to privacy4cars.com, which is privacy4cars.com, and then you go under legal resources, there is a section here called laws by geography. And it is literally a little map. And you can click on any of the 50 states, and it's going to take you on a section with state by state regulation. If you think that the divide of who has stronger regulations and enforcement in place is around which states are the most progressive and the least progressive, you will be wrong. So for instance, here with Alabama, which is just the first in alphabetical order, there are 4 different laws that apply. And again, from this resource, you can just click here and get to see what the law says, section by section. You get a little high-level summary and what are the implications for the automotive business. So again, I encourage you to go to Privacy for Cars under these legal resources, and this will help you make smarter decisions. So in summary, why should you care? Well, 3 main reasons. One is because your customers care. In fact, among those mystery shoppers that we sent to the store, even before they arrived at the dealerships, 80% of them told us that they were concerned about protecting their personal information collected by cars. The other thing that matters is that once they experienced what was happening at the dealerships and they could find personal information, and we explained to them what the privacy policy of the manufacturer of the vehicle that they were interested in buying was actually saying, their willingness to buy that car dropped dramatically. In fact, over 3/4 said they would not buy the car anymore. And another 11% said they would buy it only at a significant discount. The other reason why you should be caring about this is because we already have seen not only the first lawsuits being filed, but we've seen the first lawsuits being settled. For instance, Hertz was sued about 2 years ago exactly over this issue. The plaintiffs claimed that they synced their phones into the car. As a consequence, their personal information was deposited there. And since Hertz was not deleting the data from the cars, they allegedly exposed their data to third party, putting them at risk of their data being leaked. Well, as you know, Hertz is going through a bankruptcy procedure. And a bankruptcy judge decided that it was worth settling this lawsuit for hundreds of thousands of dollars, meaning hundreds of thousands of dollars have been paid to the plaintiff and the plaintiff attorneys to settle ahead of the lien holders that are facing the inability to recoup their assets out of the bankruptcy of Hertz. This should really tell you not only how regulators feel about this, but how the judiciary branch is going to feel about this issue. If you expect that judges and juries will be siding with dealerships because they didn't take a few minutes and a few dollars to remove the personal information of consumers, you may have a rude awakening in store. In fact, at the last National Policy Conference of NIADA, they rated privacy as the number 2 risk for dealers after recalls. This issue has come literally from nowhere to become the number 2 issue. So what can you do once you realize that, again, you may have an attorney driving to your dealership, test driving 1 or 2 cars. They have, based on our stats, 88% chance of finding personal information, and then they can file a suit. And that suit could be settled. Again, individual settlements have gone up for hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's a mortal risk for most dealerships. Probably if you ask your attorney, they're going to say, well, let's have a policy that says to remove this personal information. For those dealerships that had a policy, 75% of them were found out of compliance of their own policy. Again, just by test driving one or two cars. Now, that's a lot better than the 93 or 94% of the dealership didn't have a policy, but this is a number that is not large enough to represent a significant protection for consumers and consequently for your dealership. How did consumers feel about this? Well, not great. I don't think that that's a mystery. You can read some of the quotes yourself. But consumers felt that they had been lied to, taken advantage of, that the information they got from the dealership was inaccurate and unethical, that dealerships were not trustworthy, etc., etc. So what can you do? Well, of course, you can bury your head in the sand, and maybe you'll be lucky and you won't get sued. But what if you're not lucky? So really, the right course of action is to at least try to meet the requirements of compliance and do the things that are required, again, depending, check on that page that we talked about on what you need to do step by step, and try to meet the requirements. And the more rigorous of a process you're going to have, the better results you're going to have, and the better outcomes for your consumers and for your dealership. Make sure that that process builds the most robust record you can possibly get your hands on, because those receipts will be your ultimate defense in front of consumers, whether they are in the public opinion or in a court of law, hopefully not. But there's an opportunity here to be the hero of the story. And that's what gets us excited, because we really think that dealers can kick privacy into a high gear and really take the role of being the defenders of consumers. They can be the shield that stands between their data being defended or their data being out there. And this is the silver lining that we saw in our study when we sent out mystery shoppers. It doesn't look like a silver lining at the beginning, because it says that people who found personal information in cars, their net promoter score dropped like a rock, and they're not willing to buy cars anymore. But what we saw in here was that, hold on a second, what if a dealer were to tell consumers, bring your vehicles to me because we take care of your privacy, we'll issue a certificate, and we'll give you the peace of mind that you're looking for. And while they're there, maybe they'll drive some cars and they may be interested in buying. And maybe they'll decide, you know what, I'm not sure. I want to cross the street and go see if their competitor has a better deal on the cars. Well, we know if they do that, they have an 88% chance of finding personal information just by driving one or two cars. And that if that happens, now that you prime them to think about this issue, and that you've shown that your dealership is going the extra mile to protect them, chances are they'll come back to you. And so this is really what we think the opportunity for dealerships here is, to not stop at a mere checking the box, let's do the bare minimum for compliance, but literally think through the entire pipeline, from the moment in which they do a consumer campaign all the way in which somebody shows up at the showroom and they potentially trade in a vehicle and they're ready to purchase a vehicle and they're doing the F&I, and what are the opportunities there to be able to offer value-added services that are centered around peace of mind over privacy protections for their consumers. And actually, 85 to 91% of consumers we polled are willing to pay for these services. That really should tell you that there is real value to be found. We did a survey, we expanded the pool from those 72 original shoppers all the way to up more than 500 consumers in California that purchased a vehicle of recent manufacturing from 2018 and above. So they had, relatively new vehicles. And some examples, right? 87% of these consumers said they would be willing to pay if, when they trade in a vehicle, they would get a certificate that shows them the data was deleted and that proves that they have some identity theft protection. Another example, 91% of consumers are willing to pay if they had a service that told them that if their vehicle is repossessed or is part of a total loss accident or is a lease return, that somebody would take care of deleting their data for them so they wouldn't have to worry about it. Another 88% of consumers, for instance, said that they would be happy to have a service where they can buy any vehicle they want, no matter what their privacy policy says, but where they can put in place some defenses to protect their data and prevent to being stalked by the stalkerware that is often installed in cars. So again, our hope is that you will reflect upon these findings, that you will truly find this to be not just a compliance situation, but an opportunity to build your reputation and an opportunity to really compete in the market, be a trailblazer, and being able to build your reputation and build new revenues and services around privacy. Consumers are looking for it. You will end up having a double whammy of both protecting yourself and making your business a better business. Well, that's all for today. If you have any questions or suggestions, please contact us at info@privacyforcars.com. Again, don't forget to go to Privacy for Cars to go and look at those legislative maps. And we have other workshops recorded, and we have plenty of resources for your business to be more thoughtful about this issue and to find a way to, again, protect yourself and at the same time, hopefully prosper from the opportunities that come from protecting consumers. Thank you very much. This was Andrea Amico from Privacy for Cars. I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference.